Hello, magical humans. This is Misha Schuler of Wild Carrot Herbs in the backyard in the early days of September on a beautiful morning. And we're looking at Skullcap. This is Mad Dog Skullcap, Scutellaria lateriflora. And the reason that it's called that is that you can see that the flowers are on the lateral, meaning that they're on the sides of the plant. They're these wonderful blue flowers. So I actually really associate this plant with the throat and speaking one's truth. I sometimes also associate this plant as, the blue coming back to, here's what a flower who's missing. The blue coming back to, from the chakra perspective, energetics. I also think of this as being a place of connecting, happy children, of connecting one's intuition to one's voice. So this is a mint family plant. You'll notice that square stems, hard to see, but opposite leaves. So it's hanging out here next to lemon balm, and then there's some kind of dry motherwort in the backyard, or next to it. But it's a mint family plant. And it's native to North America. There's about, at least on the East Coast, according to Newcomb's Guide, which I highly recommend, there's at least 9 Scutellarias. And this Scutellaria in particular really likes wet feet. Well, maybe not totally wet feet, but damp feet. There's a marsh skullcap that I've actually never seen before. So skullcap is a really special plant. It's one of my personal favorites. It's the first plant that I ever made a tincture from. And I guess that tells you that I need it. It's bitter and cooling, and it has a strong affinity for the nervous system. It's very relaxing to both the physical nervous system. I liken these wonderful, so what we're seeing up the top is we're seeing some flowers, but we're also seeing how the plant produces its seeds, and it almost looks like the back of someone's spine, like the cervical vertebra. And skullcap has a strong affinity for relaxing the voluntary muscles, and some of them are involuntary, of course, too, along the spine. And when we relax that part of our body, it's like all of the rest of our organs can relax as well. Also, the reason this is called Mad Dog Skullcap, even though I don't refer to it that way, I usually call it North American Skullcap to differentiate it from Baikal Skullcap, which is a Russian or from the Baikal Mountains skullcap that has more of an affinity for the liver. Skullcap doesn't have so much of an affinity for the liver. It cools the liver, so if there's heat rising, so anger, if someone's beginning to feel a migraine come on, I've definitely seen skullcap, North American skullcap, make a tremendous difference. You need about 5 mils in some water for that support. I don't know that it would work with every single type of migraine, but it's more for if there's a constrictive migraine, particularly brought on by overstimulation. This is wonderful for when the nerves are overstimulated, and one of my first teachers, James Snow, spoke about this as being specific for when we have stage fright or performance anxiety. And Matthew Wood alludes to this also in his book, The Book of Herbal Wisdom. He talks about it as for somebody, when he was in Minnesota working at a herb shop, someone coming in for sexual support and not being able to, impotence. And Matthew Wood sent him home with skullcap. And it made all the difference, because really what this person needed was to be able to relax so he could be present to the experience. I don't find this plant to be sedating so much personally. I already run hot, so this just cools me down. However, this can be really wonderful in a sleep support tea or tincture. It's in Avena Botanicals Hop to Bed formula, which is also with hops and passion flower and valerian root. I find that this is really lovely at times in my life. For example, if I know wonderful big things are going to happen, or really hard big things are going to happen, or even small things are going to be coming up. Again, when there's external expectations, or even if there really aren't external expectations, but I feel like I need to show up in a particular way and I don't quite know if I have the capacity, because I need to stop stressing about it or just relax about it. This does have some affinity also for the involuntary muscles, so we might think about it for cramps, menstrual cramps, or other kinds of spastic cramping, even at the extremities. I don't have a lot of experience with that. In particular, I don't have tremendous experience with this plant for epileptic seizures. It's been used for petit mal seizures, but I really don't know it in that way. But to just say that the strong affinity for the nerves when they are spasming. I do know someone who was at the College of Atlantic, this is about 10 years ago, who was relying on Skullcap with other friends to really relieve epileptic tendencies. So a really powerful plant, and that's actually the way in which it was supportive for rabies, which is how it gets the name Mad Dog Skullcap, when folks were experiencing very tense seizures from rabies bites. I don't know whether or not, it's hard to know from accounts whether or not it was a really successful remedy. I'd like to think that it was, and that it still could be if needed. But releasing gripping tension, and yeah, safe during pregnancy, safe for little people, safe for first, second, and third trimester, and first trimester of pregnancy. We'd want to be using it in very smaller doses, not so much, more for a tea, but not a therapeutic dose as a beverage tea. And safe postpartum while breastfeeding, nursing. Oh, I should say that for chest feeding, really wonderful for helping to relax milk letdown. But also, if somebody has a cold and there's tension in the chest, this can help to relax the musculature in the chest. And at the onset, or even any time during cold and flu, but when there's that sort of tense achiness across the shoulders, if it's deep bone achiness, I'd be thinking of bone set. But if I didn't have bone set, Skullcap would be a good ally as well. All right, friends, this was long and rambly, but also really fun and wonderful. So I hope you have a phenomenal day, and I'm looking forward to the next time we're together. Bye for now.